Welcome back to the MMA History Podcast, and welcome to another controversial episode. This episode is our part 2 with Olympic gold medalist Mark Schultz. In this episode, he tackles some subjects he has not felt comfortable addressing in the past. He talks about fixed fights. He talks about John Du Pont. He talks about mental illness, drug abuse, testicular amputation. It gets weird. It's a great interview. You're going to like it. He's agreed to a part 3. He's actually agreed to a part 5 because there's so much to get to with Mark. Let us know in the comments what you think, what you want us to address next, and enjoy the show. I'll see you at the wrap-up. Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love. Fellow historians, welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti, here as always with the MMA detective Mike Davis, and today is another special episode. Our guest today, once again, Olympic gold medalist, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and MMA pioneer, Mark Schultz. Mark, thank you for being here.
So, Mark, the first episode that we did was very well received.
It was. God, I'm so surprised. That's probably the best received podcast I've ever done.
Oh, okay. Good.
I've watched it like 50 times. I can't stop watching it.
Good. That's a good thing. So, on our second one, we've kind of got a different angle. You've had some really high highs, and the lows have been pretty incredible as well, like shockingly low. There's no kind of middle ground with you.
Speaking of lows, I think you ought to lower your camera a little.
I think so too. I know. I'm trying to. Let me get this thing going. I got an iPad, Mark. You know, believe it or not, the podcast barely pays for itself. Sometimes really not. All right. All right. So we've got kind of like a middle. You don't really have a middle ground like in your career.
Yeah, that's one weird thing about me.
Like you don't at all. So what I think we're going to do, and if it's okay with you, one of the darker periods of your time that you've talked about several times, but you've never really gone in depth about, was Foxcatcher. Are you comfortable talking about Foxcatcher?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So wore my Dave Schultz Wrestling Club t-shirt to commemorate this podcast dedicated to Dave.
Absolutely. So we touched on it a little bit, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the characters you rolled with and you grappled with, you shared the mat with, talk about your MMA career, and then we're going to head down the Foxcatcher route. And man, this one might be probably it's going to be incredibly personal. And any edits or anything like that, it's completely understood. So our listeners sent a bunch of questions in, some of which we're going to use. One of which was, it was a rumor that the WCW, the pro wrestling organization, offered you a contract, and a guy named Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, reached out to you.
I met Paul Orndorff. They did not offer me a contract, but I met Mr. Wonderful down in Las Vegas. I drove 6 hours to meet Lou Thez I was going to beg him to show me the step over toe hold. And he was 80 years old, and he let me in his hotel room, and we cleared out all the furniture, and he did the step over toe hold on me. That was at the Cauliflower Alley Club annual convention, and Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, was there, but they didn't offer me a contract.
Was there any interest on their side, or do you think they may have thought you were just too wrestling heavy and maybe against the actual fake side of it?
I didn't go down there to see about getting an offer. I went down there to learn the step over toe hold, which was very good. But it's a pro wrestling move. Of course, I thought it would be it was so legendary that I I just heard about it. I never saw it in action, so I wanted him to show me in action. And Luthez is a great guy, by the way, and so is Paul Orndorff. But no, they didn't offer me anything.
Nothing at all. Okay, that was
So
from
so
Carlos
Lou
Ortiz.
is obviously an old catch wrestler.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And did you guys? Did he show you any other moves?
No, I went down there just to learn that one, and I didn't think it was very good, to tell you the truth.
Did you ever pull it off in jujitsu sparring?
No, that's what I. If it would have been good, I would have tried it, but I didn't think it was very good. But pro wrestlers do all kinds of stuff that really doesn't work in real life. It just that's the way pro wrestling is.
You had also met Robin Williams at one point.
Oh, this is a classic story. At During the Olympic training camp, we had very few things to do when we weren't training. And the only thing that I had to like get some relief, during between training sessions was I had this videotape, a VHS videotape called Robin Williams Live at the Met. And I watched that thing almost every day between workouts just to get some comic relief. And after I won the gold medal, I went home to Palo Alto, and I was standing in line at the San Francisco airport, and Robin Williams was standing right in front of me. And I go, "Hey, Robin Williams," and he didn't even budge. And I go, "Hey, Robin Williams," and he still didn't move. And then I grabbed his elbow and jerked it back and spun him around. And he looked at me like he wished I was dead. And I just said, "Robin, I want to tell you thank you for doing that video because it was the only relief I was getting during that training camp." And I told him I just won a gold medal, and he goes, "Hey," and his whole demeanor changed after I told him that. And he goes, "Hey, let's go get a drink at the lounge." And I was so late. I should have canceled my flight to do that, but I was so late. I just said I wish I could, but I can't. And then the very next movie that he does is Good Morning Vietnam, where he's making the soldiers laugh, giving them comic relief.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And I think that meeting between me and him uh, may have had an influence on him doing that. And then he won an Academy Award for that. This is the only Academy Award he won, I think.
He got one for Good Will Hunting, but maybe he got one for Good
Oh,
Morning
okay,
Vietnam
okay.
too.
Wow.
Maybe he got a nomination. I don't know. It was something he got something for it, I think.
It was a good performance for sure.
So the Raw team with Rico Chiapparelli. Did you ever work out with those guys?
I wrestled Rico 6 times during my career, but I never worked out with any of the other guys on the Raw team, or I was never in like a gym with the whole team or anything. I no, that's
Okay. You shared a mat with Rico, obviously, numerous times. How would you describe that?
Rico was a very unorthodox wrestler, and he was dangerous from all kinds of positions because nobody could really. He was hard to scout because he was like, I don't know. Have he's kind of like Wade Schallis. Wade Schallis is a two-time NCAA champ. Rico's an NCAA champ, and he beat me actually in one match at the Olympic trials. I was ahead of him 8-0, and I was wrestling for Foxcatcher, and I was losing my motivation fast, and you know, I just it was occurring to me that I made a huge mistake going to Foxcatcher and giving DuPont the prestige and status of producing an Olympian. Just I couldn't. It kind of made me sick to my stomach. And after I'm ahead of Rico 8-0, I kind of let him just come back and beat me 16-8. And then I went back to my hotel room and I just said, screw it. I'm done wrestling. I can't figure out a way to survive in an honorable way and win. There's just no avenue for me. I should have joined the military, but I grew up in the Vietnam era, and I saw people coming back from Vietnam so screwed up. I thought that's not really an option for me either. But then that night, in the movie, they showed Dave kicking down my door. That never
Yeah.
happened. What happened was the Virginia State coach, a really good friend of mine, he's the only guy I've ever baptized into the Mormon church. I'm not a Mormon anymore, by the way, but his name is Hal Miles, and Virginia State's an all-black school, and I went down there, did a couple camps with him, and I was the only white guy in the whole camp.
That's cool.
I came out of that camp
That's
with
cool.
rhythm, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes in the room and he's talking to me. He's telling me, "Hey, Mark, if you're on your deathbed and you got to do something for your kids, just get off your deathbed and then go do whatever you got to do and then lay down and die." And I was thought after he told me that, I thought, you know what? Screw this. This is the last time I'm gonna compete in America, probably, because I'm losing motivation fast. And made the decision right then to make a comeback. So I quit early in the day, and then I made a comeback at night.
About noon. Yeah, about noon. Yeah,
that's right.
Yes.
So then I pinned Rico twice, and then
Same tournament?
Huh?
Same tournament?
Same tournament. Yeah.
Really?
Olympic trials. Yeah.
I tell you, 16 unanswered points against Mark Schultz. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of let him score. I wanted to make it obvious that I was throwing it. And anyway, after that, I thought, you know what? This is probably the last time anyone's going to see me compete in the United States. So and because of what Hal told me and what we talked about, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go out as a fighter. And so I changed my tactics. And you know that in the last podcast we had, I said, well, Bannock was kind of the first guy that I really turned a wrestling match into more of a street fight. Well,
Yeah,
that's what I
100%.
did with Rico. I turned it into more of a street fight and pinned him twice. But I have a great respect for Rico. He's incredibly talented, and he worked out with my brother a lot, and yeah.
He does not do interviews.
He's elusive.
Refuses, like not like refuse of like angry, refuses angry, like refuses like this doesn't interest me. It's just so I don't get it. The guy, he's got a legendary career.
You know how many podcasts I've done? 31. And our last episode is either my favorite or in the top 2 with the Dan Severn Unleashed podcast. That was a good one. Anyway, I'm not going to blow my own horn or anything.
Right, wait, hold on. I watched a little bit of that Dan Severn episode. He got names wrong. He got names wrong. I turned it off.
He's not the MMA detective.
No. He mistake Banich for the older heavyweight brother. And he said that he beat the older heavyweight brother. That was the first 30 seconds in an interview. Yeah. I turned it off. But I'll rewatch it. It. All right.
I know Bannock's name is spelled with C.
Number 1, Bannock, right? I know. We want that number 1 spot, Joey. I'm not giving up on that. All right. So Fabio Santos, you also shared a mat with him.
Who?
Fabio Santos.
Oh, yeah. He was the only, I made a mistake when I told you that Pedro was the only non-Gracie black belt in America or in anywhere. Every other black belt had the Gracie name behind it. Fabio Santos was actually the second non-Gracie black belt. And he came into Pedro's gym one time and he wanted to go live with me, and we went. And at some point during that,
Let me interrupt. Was it a call out, or did he see you
I
move and
can't.
say, I want to try to give this guy a shot?
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember how it happened.
Okay.
All I
So,
remember is that
okay.
we were going live,
Okay.
and so at one point during the go, I think he had like a triangle maybe or a guard or something. Anyway, I got him. I lifted him way up in the air and slammed him down. And his wife or his girlfriend or something was on the sidelines. She starts screaming bloody, like she's being murdered or something. And I was just like, oh my God, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
And I just sort of let go of Fabio and just looked over, like, what's wrong? What happened? And I guess she had never seen him, in that situation or something. I don't know. But after me and Fabio started going live again, I got him in a trapped arm headlock, and where your arm is trapped here, and you got your arm. Anyway, the counter to the trapped arm headlock is to put your hand on
Answer
your
the phone.
Answer
Yeah,
the
answer the
phone.
phone. Yeah.
So what I did was I grabbed his wrist and I pulled it away from his hand until his shoulder started to break, and he tapped out. And then as soon as he tapped out, I let go. And then he told me he didn't tap. And Pedro was sitting there and he goes, I saw you tap. Anyway, that was the last time we went. And I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just telling you what happened. I I have
Okay.
great respect.
So you broke. He says, I didn't tap. Pedro says he tapped. I'm sure Mark Schultz says, well, we can keep going.
Yeah.
And then he says,
We'll call it a draw.
I don't remember what happened. I think we ended it that way. I don't know what happened.
I got an appointment. I got to go to.
Yeah.
Were you guys cordial afterward?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he liked me that much. I was wearing a blue belt and he was wearing a black belt, and
Yeah, they don't like that.
they don't like it. They're very proud. In a way, I don't know. And when the Brazilians first came to America, they were very disrespectful of any non-Brazilians. The way they talked about it, just it turned me. I didn't like it. It wasn't like, the American wrestlers, which all have respect for each other. These Brazilians, they just were so disrespectful. But I didn't feel like Fabio was disrespectful. And but I don't know, there was sort of kind of an overriding cultural difference. Like, I don't know, it was like either a nationality thing or pride thing. I don't know what it was exactly. But anyway.
Do you think Pedro may have set that up as like a lesson in humility?
No, I mean, I was going to classes with Pedro like twice a week or something, and I think he invited Fabio to come stay with him or whatever for a while, and he just showed up we ended up in the same gym at the same time. I think that's all that happened.
Do you think Pedro may have said, hey, Fabio,
I don't know.
go with that one?
I don't know.
Give that one a try and see what happens.
I don't remember. God, it was so long ago. I don't remember.
He's just a blue belt.
Yeah.
I do remember wearing only a blue belt.
Easy work.
I mean, come on, dude. Yeah. I tapped him a few times yesterday. Now it's your turn. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember how long after I had that match with Hickson that I had that match with Fabio. It was fairly soon after that. I think it was maybe 3 months or four, maybe 6 months or something. I don't know.
I was told from Pedro that within 3 months you were a blue belt and you were submitting all his black belts.
I was beating everyone, and I mean everyone.
Joey, why do you think they didn't put him in these high-end tournaments? Like, if I'm If I'm
Bad
his
for
coach,
business.
oh my
Bad
God,
for
it would have been
business. If some
horrible for
American
business.
wrestlers smashing your
Oh
black
my
belts.
God. And right around this time, they were also making rules like takedowns counted for points until like the Brazilians like understood that a mid-level high school wrestler can
Right.
really perform a good takedown. And then it's,
Yeah.
well, no points on the takedown.
Yeah.
You
Or in
know,
Abu Dhabi, no points for the first minute.
Yeah.
You know.
you want to know something interesting?
It's like
The
2003.
Brazilians, what?
That was like 2003. Go ahead. Interesting.
Yeah, in 1992, Pedro came to America and he landed in Provo, Utah, of all places. My
Crazy.
hometown. It's a weird coincidence. And I was a member of his club for, I don't know, maybe 3 months or something. And then I said, I invited him to come to a dual meet at BYU. I think we were wrestling Wyoming or something. And he said he'd never seen anything like that before.
Here's the pro and con of a jiu-jitsu class in Brazil. It's a crowded mat. So you can't be doing blast doubles
Right.
on a mat that's incredibly crowded. Like you can't. Like you do it in wrestling, but you really can't do it in jiu-jitsu because people are laying around. I don't know. It's just I don't think the dynamic works like it does in a wrestling room.
Well,
Someone
I know how
disagrees. Someone's gonna do it anyway. Yeah. So Fabio Santos, it was an interesting case. I think those instances between Hickson and Fabio got you uninvited to like the ADCCs, as we had talked about in our last interview. But you also shared the mat with Walt Bayless. Now, I know you've got a lot of respect for Walt, but a lot of people have questions about Walt. And Walt is also a very good salesperson and his students as well in regards to his abilities. Did Walt take classes like a traditional class at Pedro's, or was he privates only?
I think it was privates only.
Okay. Joey, I told you he's the original Moneyberg.
Oh, yeah.
Privates only.
That makes sense.
He's privates only.
Yeah, not letting the pedestrian get a crack at him.
I'm going by I'm going I mean I'm going by I'm not going by anything that Walt or Pedro said. I'm going by like Pedro's students. I didn't really know what happened between Pedro and Walt. That's always been kind of a confusing thing for me. But I know what happened between me and Walt. Man, he was one tough mother, man. He was really good shape, really big, really strong, very technical, had all kinds of leg locks, heel hooks, ankle locks. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, I think when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu first came to America, ankle locks, heel hooks, I think they were illegal. And then they made them legal in the black belt division. But Sambo had
But
always
wait, why? Why did they make him illegal in the black belt division? They called it garbage jiu-jitsu. That's what they referred to it as.
You can cripple someone easy.
Yeah.
In the black belt division.
What, say it again?
But he was even in the black belt division.
That they made it illegal in some tournaments. Yeah, they made it illegal. Certain leg locks.
I think at first it was illegal in all divisions, and then they made it legal in the black belt division. And yeah, it's a crippling move. You cripple someone for life.
Yeah. Very dangerous. Yeah. You're talking spiral fractures.
Yeah.
Like those are no joke. Like life altering. Yes.
I taught my heavyweight how to do a heel hook, and I never should have told him because he caught me with one time, and I wouldn't tap, and it cracked, and it still cracks to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a brutal move.
So Walt Bayless also released an instructional where you were the practice person with him in it.
Yes. I
There was
saw
also,
that.
there's
It's like
also
3 hours of video on YouTube.
a little bit of controversy behind the release of that as well.
I don't know about any controversy. What have you
So
heard?
some of his students were representing that those were live roles between you and Walt. And it was like, no, look at him versus Mark Schultz.
What are people saying?
Well, here, it doesn't matter what people were saying. What really matters is how it was being represented. Like it was kind of being represented as if they were live roles between the two of you in certain instances, where it
All
was
live roles.
the demonstration on his instructional.
I don't think I didn't I don't think I ever participated in any demonstration in any instructional with him. I thought it was all live.
Okay, so the video on it was live roles.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell. Live roles is very different.
Okay. I know Walt kind of comes with a little bit of controversy in certain instances, but we'll let it ride. Let that one
Walt,
ride.
he would characterize our roles by saying, "You'd be on top of me for a while, and then and I'd be on the bottom." And he'd say, "I'd be on top of you for a while, and you'd be on bottom." And then he just pushed me off and got on top, and then you're on top of me for a while, and then I push you off. And I'm like, it was kind of boring.
May 17th, 1996, you make your UFC debut at UFC 9 in Detroit. However, everything started with Dave Beneteau. Dave Beneteau was originally scheduled to fight. Why don't we talk about how you connected with Dave and his camp and who was in it?
Yeah, it was through Pedro. Pedro called me one day and he said, Dave Beneteau's coming down to train with us in jiu-jitsu. And he also had another trainer, Lonnie Foster, who was one of Pedro's students. And he became a referee in the UFC. He was also the referee in Pedro's fight with Lance Bachelor. And he wanted, Dave, I think Dave found out about me through Lonnie. And so Pedro asked me if I would train with him. And I said, yeah. So he came down and we trained together for about 2 weeks. And then the last day of our training, I slammed him and he rolled on one of his metacarpal. This metacarpal right here, the ring finger metacarpal on the hand broke. And so I took him to the hospital and they said, well, we can put a cast on, but obviously you can't fight. The fight was UFC 9 was in 3 weeks. So they said we can either put a cast on and you won't be able to fight, obviously, or we can cut you open and join those bones together with plates and screws. And maybe you could cut after the surgery, you can cover it up with makeup or something and, act like you're not even hurt. So,
Dude, think about this.
That's nuts.
For like almost no money. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
So he says, it was not even a question in his mind. He immediately said, put the plate in, which they did. And then I went to Detroit with him to be his cornerman because I thought he was going to get in trouble with that hand. And I would throw the towel in if he got in trouble. So I went to Detroit with him for that purpose. And during the press conference, somebody ratted Dave out and told and said his hand was broke. And so the doctor came over to look at his hand, and it was pretty bad. It was a big purple bump right here on top. And the doctor said, there's no way you can fight with that hand. And then the promoter told him, there's no way you can fight either. I'm not going to let you fight like that. Because he had just spent the whole day in court fighting against I don't know, John McCain calling it human cockfighting, and they got all these lawyers trying to make some sort of compromise to create rules that would allow this event to continue. And Meyerowitz, the promoter, he was in court with them, and he was like, "If I let you, Dave Beneteau, fight with a broken hand, it's like going against everything that we've been trying to accomplish in court." So he said, "There's no way I'm going to let you fight." So I'm sitting next to Pedro. Pedro came with us too. I'm sitting next to him, and he goes, I could beat, I know who Dave's going to fight, and I can beat him. I think you can too." And so I went over to Meyerowitz and I said, "Hey, what do you think about me taking Dave's place?" And he said, and I quote, "Oh, that's a great idea. You're Olympic champion. When you lose, it'll be even better." I was like, why upset? I wasn't going to hit him or anything because he's going to pay me, right?
Yeah.
So I
not yet anyway, right? Yeah, after the check, after the check clears, right?
Yeah. And so then I said, "Can I have the night to think?" He said that I said, "Can I have the night to think about it?" He goes, "Yeah." So all during the night, they're calling me like 4 times or 3 or 4 times during the night, waking me up, asking for a decision whether I'm going to fight or not. And I keep telling them every time they call me, I'm like, "Hey, you guys keep calling me, waking me up. I'm not going to be able to fight. You're destroying my ability to fight by waking me up. I need some sleep." And so they left me alone for about another 4 or 5 hours. And then they called me at 10 a.m., woke me up again, and they said, "We got to have a decision right now or we're getting someone else." So me and Pedro go down to talk with Art Davies and Meyerowitz, and they're sitting in the hotel lobby. And right before they wanted me to sign this contract, it was sitting on the table. I said, "Give me one more minute." And I went on, this is 4 months after my brother was murdered. And I went over to this corner, and this is my LDS days, before I quit the church. I believe in God, but I don't believe in the LDS God, whatever that is. But I went over to a corner and I started to pray. And I got this very strong feeling that somebody was, either my brother or maybe Christ or somebody, was telling me, "You have to do this." So I got up. I told them I'm doing it. We signed the contract. Me and Pedro went out in back of the hotel, and I did some wind sprints to warm up. Dave Beneteau gave me his cup. I bought a mouthpiece. I got an AIDS test, and 8 hours later, I was in the octagon.
Wow.
Okay, so like discussing finances, it was rumored you were paid 50,000.
It wasn't a rumor; it was a fact.
Okay,
It's a great payday back then.
that's a nice payday today.
Yeah, it is.
We started negotiating a purse almost, I think it was immediately. Yes, it had to be immediately. And I said, I'll fight if you pay me 50,000 to win, 25 to lose. And they agreed. And that was it. And then
right.
Severn got pissed off because he was getting the same as me.
So we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. So the rules meeting.
Yeah.
All right, the rules meeting was kind of bizarre. There's a little bit of footage that exists in regards to it where it's closed hand strikes. You're going to get warnings for closed hand strikes, but there was a lot of winking involved.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Okay, there's 3 rules in the UFC.
At this point. Yeah.
At this point, no biting, no eye gouging, and no kicking if you decided to wear shoes. And I decided to wear shoes because I'm a wrestler and I need traction.
Wait, hold on. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Mark. I know it's really not good to interrupt a guest. Joey, that just the Mark Coleman loss against Pete Williams.
Yeah.
Illegal kick to the face. Sorry. Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Okay.
So no kicks to the face with shoes.
Right.
Correct.
Right. So right before I go out into the octagon and fight, Big John McCarthy comes into my section of the tent and he goes, "Okay, we got a new rule. There will be no closed fist striking." And I was like, I'm going to win for sure. Because if Gary Goodridge can't strike, he has nothing else he can do, right? He's just a massive, he's a great fighter, great striker. He's super, yeah. And so I thought, and then he goes, so I'm on this high for about 10 seconds. And then he goes, show me a closed fist. And I go like this. He goes, now show me an open fist. And I go like this. And he goes, no, this is closed. This is open. I'm like, what's the difference? And then he said, and by the way, if you violate those rules, we're going to fine you $50 per violation. But as far as when we're going to collect, it'll just be like whenever. So
someday,
punch all you want. But I heard also just recently
McCarthy knows the rules. Like he is a savant when it comes to kind of like the little intricacies. He really is, man.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I heard. Now, this is just something I found on Chat GPT the other day, that headbutts were banned in UFC 9. No, they weren't.
Hey, Mark, ChatGPT
gets so much stuff wrong.
It's like, I mean, it's an interesting conversation piece, but they're probably more wrong than they are right in regards to like really deep embedded history. Yeah.
Well, they were so. I mean, I'm arguing with ChatGPT over this. They're like, "Hey,
I wouldn't do that."
Like, I was in that event. I know.
I told Chet, and they said, "Well, that's very valuable historical evidence speaking to a live fighter." But
we'll consider the source. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, Mark. Yeah, we'll consider it.
Yeah,
you guys can check that out. I'm just giving you that to check out if you want. I don't know.
Okay,
I was never told. We were never told that headbutts were illegal.
They were legal at this point, all the way through the Coleman era. That's the Mark Coleman rule, the headbutt rule. So you trained with Dave Beneteau, obviously.
How was that, by the way? How was training with Beneteau? Because he's a big guy, pretty good wrestler.
I love Dave Beneteau, but he never took me down.
I believe that.
I mean, that's not a surprise. That's not a surprise. Okay.
He's the national heavyweight wrestling champion of Canada. I mean, this guy is great. He's a great guy too. He's a nice guy. I mean, we're friends to this day. He was great in Wrestling Demons, the Emmy nominated Fight Lore episode. They interviewed him for that, and he was just great. And he really was. I love him, man. He's great.
He's doing really well right now. He's like a union arbitrator in Canada, and he's got a very, very high-end job that like requires lots of thinking.
He's very smart.
Yes, he is. So you get the 50,000. The rumor spreads through the locker room. I mean, that's a lot of money today, and this is in 1996. You're told no punching. I mean, it's kind of a wink type thing. During your bout, while you're pounding on Gary, Big John McCarthy's yelling, open fist, but he's not.
I never heard him say that.
He's yelling.
What?
He's yelling. Yeah, he's open hands. He keeps yelling open hands. Yeah.
He's yelling that to me?
He's yelling it throughout the whole evening, because to get around the rule in Detroit, they don't want the event stopped. So the referee is giving warnings while you're punching.
I never heard him say one word about that ever.
Yeah. Shamrock and Severn is the main event.
Boring
It's
fight.
it's it's called the Dance in Detroit,
Yep.
Yeah.
where they
I,
listened to Big John McCarthy and they believed these fines were coming place and they've got reputations with children. So the question I have is you've got two guys heavily involved in pro wrestling that heard about your payday and they might not be happy about it.
yeah, I actually asked Dan because of you. I asked Dan Severn about this payday controversy. And I said, "Were you pissed off that I was getting 50,000?" And he goes, "Well, kind of, because my first UFC, I was guaranteed only 1,000 to compete and 50,000 to win, but I had to win 3 fights in one night." And so he didn't think it was fair, and I don't blame him. It doesn't. But that's just, a negotiating. Whoever the better negotiator is, I guess. I mean, that's the only amount that I was gonna allow them to have me fight. And but I have incredible respect for Dan. Had the guts to go in there first, and he was the first wrestler, world class wrestler, to walk into the octagon, and that took a lot of guts. I admire him for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Art Davie claimed that a phone call to BYU was also in order.
Yeah, the Art Davie never made that phone call. However, I asked the athletic director myself about whether I could do that, and he allowed me to do it. I don't know where that rumor that Art Davie had to get permission from
I,
BYU,
I think
but
he said it was you had to call and get permission from them. I mean, to quantify that
yeah.
properly. So, how did that phone call go? Because
It
this
wasn't a
is,
phone call. I just sat down with the athletic director at a baseball game, and I just said, "Hey, I've got this opportunity. I need your, I need to know what you think about it." He was like,
in anticipation of Beneteau not being allowed. You had that prior,
um,
because you had a real short
yes,
window.
because after I broke Dave's hand, I told him at the hospital, if you can't fight, I'm going to take your place. I'm going to try and take your place. So I knew there was a possibility.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. Okay. Art Davie also believed that the Shamrock 7 fight was a work.
The what? Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not hard to tell, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you can tell, anybody can tell, can't they? I mean,
I
It
mean,
looked weird, that's for sure.
to pretend it was anything other than a work. I mean, it was like two guys trying to figure out how to fight with like pretending that there were so many rules against them that they couldn't fight. It was strange.
I I don't want to say anything bad about Dan. He's such a good. He was on the world team with me in 1985. I mean, you got to be. I mean, he's the best wrestler in the United States in 1985. That is tremendously hard. I have tremendous respect for him. Plus, he had the guts to be the first wrestler to go in there. So I'm not going to say anything bad about him. If he wants to go and do a work, that's his business. I don't care.
Did Paul Herrera ever get a takedown on you?
No,
Okay, close.
no.
Oh, because he's too small. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big size difference there. Paul is a savage, though. Can we agree on
Oh,
that?
I love Paul.
Yeah.
I was so it was so cool having him around. I mean, him and Tank came to BYU and they worked out with us for 2 months. And it was incredible. And that was right before the ultimate in Denver, where Tank met Dan Severn in the ultimate.
In the
And
semifinals,
Severn
yeah.
beat him bad. But I was in I was in Tank's corner. All of us on Tank's side, we all were wearing all black, and we had these caps that we put on. And because Dan is a friend of mine, I didn't want him to see me in Tank's corner, so I pulled my cap down really low, and I'm like squatting down, hiding kind of. Anyway, yeah, we were like, I don't know, looked like a bunch of like criminals in the corner. We're all black. It's weird.
September 13th, 2003, Jungle Fight 1. You have got almost 10 years difference between both of these fights. What initially brought you out of retirement for this?
Okay, this is what happened. I get a phone call from Tadaki Hada, and Tadaki is an NCAA wrestling champion for Oklahoma State. And on the phone call, in the conference call with Tadaki, there's also a Japanese Olympic champion who coached my brother at Oklahoma State. His name is Jiichiro Date. And Date was, I mean, he could be considered one of the greatest, or maybe the greatest wrestler ever. I mean, if you look at him competing in the 1976 Olympics, anytime he needs to score, he just explodes and scores. I mean, he beat my friend Mansour Barzagar, an Iranian, who I brought to America, and he was living in my hometown here in Medford, Oregon, for a while. Now he's back in Tehran. He owns so much. He owns incredible amount of real estate in Tehran. But he beat Barzagar, I think, 10-2 or 13-5. It was really bad. It's bad. But Barzagar was Iranian's first world champion, and Date was like the first upper weight Japanese Olympic champion. I mean, Japanese had a lot of success with the lower weights, but he never had anybody like Date. Anyway, Date was a super tough. He was great in judo. His father was a sumo wrestler. He had incredible foot sweeps, and he kicked my ass one time, and he was like, anyway, what Date and Tadaki call me up and they go, "Hey, you want to make $25,000 for doing a fake pro wrestling match in Japan?" And I go, "Well," and I was getting divorced and I was broke. The lawyers had robbed me of everything I owned, and I was just desperate for money. And so I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna do this pro wrestling." And not only was I going to get 25,000, but if I did it, Antonio Inoki told me that he would make me a superstar in Japan New Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling. And so I agreed to do it. And the day before I was supposed to go down there, I looked up the jungle fight online, and I saw that Rico Chiapparelli was scheduled to fight somebody. And I thought, what are the chances that me and him are both doing fake pro wrestling matches? I thought chances, I just didn't believe that Rico would do that. I don't know why, but that's what I believed. And so I call up Inoki, and he doesn't speak English, so he's got a translator. And I asked him, "Is this a fake pro wrestling match, or is this a real MMA fight?" And he goes, "It's real." And I was like, I'm 46 years old or something at the time. And I'm like, "You want me to do a real MMA fight against a guy who's like 27, a jiu-jitsu master at 27?" And, I hadn't been training. I didn't have the conditioning. And I was just like, how could you? And the only thing I could come up with was, he's trying to use my name because I'm Olympic champion to make money off of me. He didn't give a shit about my record. And so I call him up and he goes, "It's real." And I was like, I said, "I'm not going to do a real fight at this age for $25,000. I don't care if you're and he goes, "Well, you can still do a fake pro wrestling match type fight, but it's we're not going to pay you 25,000. We'll pay you 5,000. And I was like, well, but he said, if you do it, we'll bring it to Japan and make you a superstar in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And my heavyweight, or not mine, but Oklahoma's heavyweight, Steve Dr. Death Williams, that's what he did. He went over to Japan and worked for
Made a name. Yeah, made a name for himself. Yeah.
I could do the same thing. And I was so broke. I mean, I was looking to do anything for a payday. And so when I get down, so he flies me to Japan, and I'm thinking the reason he's flying me to Japan is so I can get kind of an idea of what my life's going to be like over there, because I'm going to be working for him as a New Japan pro wrestler. So after I spend a couple of days in Japan, I go back to Utah, and then I go to Brazil, Manaus, Brazil, which is right on the Amazon River. And our plane lands, they take us to the river, and then we get on this boat, and we're driving about, I don't know, an hour or two down the Amazon. And you told me that Stephan Bonner was in the boat with me.
Yeah.
I know he was in the boat going back, which is where I told him this was all a fake pro wrestling match.
So in our interview with Stephan Bonner, he actually confirmed that.
Okay.
And I've got an interview with Jeff Neal, who was cornering him. Beginner of, I think he owned the first Carlson Gracie like jiu-jitsu gym here in the United States. He also confirmed that. I haven't released it yet. I think they're doing something with it, but yes. Yeah, I've had two people say for sure you were going over there under the guise that it was a fake fight.
Yes. So I didn't tell them that it was fake when I first got there, but when me and Stephan were going back on the same boat, I told them that was a fake fight. And but it was such a mess because when I got there, my opponent, Leopoldo Montenegro, he never thought that this was a fake pro wrestling. He thought it was a real MMA fight the entire time. And it wasn't, and then I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm going to walk into a meat grinder if I don't say somebody. And I thought Inoki was going to handle it all, but he didn't do anything. He was just going to allow me to walk in there and get creamed. And I was like, so my corner man, Mike Coleman, who was the brother of one of my wrestlers, became an executive producer of the movie Foxcatcher. He was my corner man, and he goes and he organizes a meeting between me, Montenegro, Walid Ishmael, the referee, and anyway, yeah. So we all sat down at a picnic table, and I told Montenegro, I was told it was going to be a fake pro wrestling match, and there's no way I can participate in a real MMA fight. I haven't even trained, and he seemed like devastated emotionally, and it looked like he was about to cry, and then we made a plan. I knew if I didn't do something, I could never go to Japan and be a pro wrestler in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I said, what if we do this? I'll knee you in the nuts, which was against the rules, and I'll get disqualified, and that'll be the end of the fight. And then I'll go to Japan and be a pro wrestler. And so
way out for both of us, right? Yeah,
so,
and we both get paid. Nothing
Get some heat.
happens. Yeah,
Be the bad guy.
Yeah.
So things did not go as planned. We didn't practice anything. We've never done this before. Inoki has never given any of us any guidance during the entire time. Inoki was renting this boat, this yacht, and he parked it in the middle of the Amazon. He never was at the meeting that we had. So it was so unorganized. It was a disaster. And when we got in the ring, we didn't know what we were doing.
So, Joey, when you watch this video, there's a couple things that are happening. There's insects everywhere. Like they're everywhere. Like you can, if you really look at your screen, they're constantly flying. Like I couldn't.
Big mosquitoes.
Oh my gosh, whatever is happening in the Amazon, it gets in full effect. Yeah, that was the one thing that Stephan Bonner and Jeff Neal both said, that when they were sleeping in the barracks, that things would come in that were unrecognizable in terms of like insect life, right. And they couldn't sleep because they were so scared.
Crazy event.
Well, it was a very strange. I've never been in any place like that before. It was a very strange
outdoor event in the Amazon.
Yeah, how big's the crowd?
I don't know. It's not that big, but it was weird because there was no land anywhere. It was just all swamp, and all the buildings were built like tree houses with bridges connecting the different units. So you're walking around.
All mosquitoes. Your nests of mosquitoes is what those are called. Yeah, you're walking around those. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
And anyway, these people have mastered the treehouse building method, and and it was really an interesting, but it was weird. I mean, there's no land. Anyway, things didn't go as planned, and
like you were wearing your Olympic gi, like you were wearing a wrestling gi.
You mean a singlet?
Singlet. Yeah, I'm apologies. Singlet.
USA on the back. It was embarrassing. Yeah. I didn't know. I thought I was just being a pro wrestler. You know, when they interviewed me, I'd act like a pro wrestler, like I'm going to kill this guy
to death. Yeah, I'm going to kill him to death. Right. You there was a 40-pound weight difference, and you said Mike Coleman was in your corner.
That's right, Jared Coleman's brother. No relation to Mark Coleman.
No. You guys had to go to an outside office to get paid.
I don't know how I got paid exactly. It was so screwed up. You know, I think I blocked some of it out, maybe.
Was it the $5,000 or the 25,000?
5.
Okay, so they had to. So essentially, there was a renegotiation of purses where they got all of the benefit.
Yeah.
Without you. Yeah.
I called Inoki the day before I was supposed to go down there, after I found out Rico was scheduled for a fight, and I asked him, you know, is this real or fake? And he goes, it's real, but you can still do a fake fight, but you're only going to get $5,000. But nobody told Montenegro. Nobody worked out anything that was going to, you know, nobody wrote a script. Nobody had a plan.
Joey, you got to watch this fight. So essentially, Mark gets caught in a triangle. He's got the wrestling singlet on. After the tap, you can see just the inner workings of a madman, like his brain, like the mechanics are working like he was about to destroy the entire ring. And anyway, dude, you can see it. And I think to counterbalance the desire of Mark Schultz at this point was, I'm in Brazil. This is swampland. Me running out of here, I still got to rely on them to cross this swamp in a boat to get back to the airport.
Yeah,
like they had you trapped. Dude.
Yeah,
they had you trapped. You know, the airplane I could figure out. Like if you're in a big city, just jump in a taxi and go.
Yeah,
you needed a boat ride with the people that organized this.
Yeah, I mean
to get you back home.
Yeah, trapped.
The river's full of piranhas.
Yeah. Alligators.
Inoki jumped in the river.
Yeah, he's such an idiot.
And the locals
I think
were
he got like
shocked.
bit by like a piranha. I don't even know if he did, but he holds his finger up like he got bit by a piranha, like some great, like some great achievement. You
Piranhas are pack animals. You're not getting bit by one piranha.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, one piranha's not getting you, dude.
If he would have come up with a piranha on his finger, I'd have believed it.
Or maybe a skeletal hand going, hey, dude, they got me,
He's just
Hmm.
an idiot.
So you're furious. Yeah, that was rough, man. That was rough. With Stephan Bonner, do you see who he's fighting?
Yeah.
Who's he got?
Machida. Dude, this
So
card's
it's
crazy
stacked.
for
So
a card in the middle of nowhere.
So Machida was a last minute replacement for Bonner. Bonner had a different opponent, and they're like, no, you're fighting Machida. Machida the entire time, I believe we one day will interview Machida. He had known he was fighting Bonner to where Bonner believed he was fighting somebody else. So it was like you guys were kind of being brought down there. And Rico, his fight's interesting as well. His one and done fight. What did he get paid for that?
I have no idea what happened with his fight. I know he won.
I mean, he won. I mean, it was
a decision.
Yeah, a decision. It wasn't super eventful. I figured you would have asked him.
I was so pissed off after that whole thing happened. I, the only,
Could you text him and ask him what he got paid for that?
sure.
Oh my God, dude, we gotta get
We'd
that.
love to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're never gonna interview him. So if we can get just a little bit of information from him.
I'm gonna guess probably around 25.
So he got the actual 20. Yeah, he actually got the 25. Wow. When do you meet John Du Pont?
At the 86 World Team Trials, right after I beat Mike Schultz twice to make the world team, I walk over to the hotel.
Broke Mike Schultz. Huh? You broke Mike Schultz, and I say that with all due respect. I have an enormous amount of respect for Mike Schultz.
I do too.
I do, but you broke him.
Yeah. He was the first American to beat me in 4 years, and then I came back and beat him 6-2 and then 13-1. Anyway, what were we talking about? I think I'm getting dementia. What were we talking
Meeting
about?
John Du Pont. Yeah, you need mushrooms, bro.
I have your mushrooms still. They're sitting over there.
They don't work if they just sit on the shelf.
They're not mine.
They give me they're not yours. I was gonna send them to you, but
no.
I tried to take them myself. Anyway, John Du Pont was in a hotel, and after I got beat Sheets, I walk into the hotel room, and he is drunk or on drugs or both.
Both, yeah.
He's the ugliest person I've ever seen in my life. He's got this really weird orange Ronald McDonald hair, and it's parted in the middle. And he's got gray roots because he hasn't kept them up. And he's got like an 8-inch thick layer of dandruff. He's got food caked on his teeth. His teeth are yellow. His arms look like girl arms. They're like skeleton arms. His stomach is distended like he swallowed a basketball. And he's got this giant varicose vein going down one leg, and his other leg is in a full-length cast. And he's just like slurring his words and spitting while he's talking.
Does he have handlers? Like, is there people that came and got you? How does the meeting get set up?
Yeah. Chuck Yarnell was the head coach at Villanova.
At Villanova. Okay.
He was a good guy. And I regret, we can talk about that later, but he got me to come into the hotel room to meet Du Pont. And Robbie Calabrese actually met me when I was cutting weight before I wrestled Sheets. Robbie Calabrese comes running up to me while I'm running around the track. And he's like, "Hey, man, I heard you're thinking about coming out to Foxcatcher or not. I mean, Villanova. Foxcatcher had nothing to do with it. It was all about Villanova starting a new collegiate wrestling program. That's a big misconception people have. They think they don't even know about Villanova because it came and went. It lived and died in 2 years. It was a doomed program from the beginning because Du Pont was in total control. He bought out the athletic director and the president of Villanova, and they just let him do whatever he wanted. And he it was ridiculous. I mean, they
So
put his name on the side of the pavilion, the John Du Pont Pavilion. They put his name on the John Du Pont swimming complex.
I can't imagine the price tag on those.
Oh God! They took him off after the murder.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, hey, they didn't give the money back. I guarantee that.
No, he didn't.
To kind of set the table a little bit with this, John was heavily involved with cross country, I believe track as well, and swimming. So he was the swimming coach over there for a while.
At Villanova?
In Villanova, yes. Yes.
Du Pont was the swimming coach?
Yes.
I'd never heard that.
Okay. So full disclosure.
His sport growing up was the pentathlon, which is the same one that General Patton
did. Also
did.
swimming, though.
But yeah, swimming was part of that event, I think.
Yeah, yes. he failed at swimming, and that's why he went into pentathlon.
Okay.
Okay, so full disclosure here. I bought it used, but I bought John Du Pont's book.
Oh.
Okay, it's called...
That's the most confusing bunch of gobbledygook you've ever read in your life.
So, I mean, to give you a little bit of pushback, Mark, oftentimes it's like, okay, all right, everybody doesn't like Du Pont. He's not a real likable guy. I think pretty well established across the board. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just kind of figure him out. Let me get his book. I'll read it. It's about 115 pages, lots of blank pages.
Are you talking about off the mat?
Off the mat. Yeah. There was a middle section with photographs. Mark, you're obviously in it. And the font is a little bit big. Joey, I think the way to describe the book is it is a definition, like a vocabulary definition book about various aspects of coaching, but absolutely nothing to do about the act of coaching. And like when like you read it, it's a very, very difficult read. Not because I think it's because
written on cocaine.
It's very repetitive.
Drunk and on drugs the entire time that what he did was he spoke into a tape recorder, and then he paid someone to write a book.
It's rantings, but it's rantings of definitions, not rantings of we got this athlete, we got to change the or maybe the little diet over here, maybe the positive mental mindset. None of that. It's just if he had to break down a coach's duties and put definitions next to duties, it's the most dumb thing. It was very difficult to get through. But it highlighted his personality.
Yes.
He's an asshole.
He's an asshole.
He is he's an asshole.
Oh.
And like he's got hygiene problems.
He seems like an inbred royal. That's the look.
Seems like what?
An inbred royal.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is.
Yeah.
And he had like handlers. So like people would, I shouldn't say handlers. That's kind of like one of those psyop, conspiracy type words. I would say he had people that would run around. They kind of were able to connect with him or take his abuse or kind of understand the push and pull, get a paycheck, and they would do his dirty work for him.
That's right. There's a bunch of yes men for money.
I'm not saying yes man. I'm saying duplicitous individuals that would go out of their way to hurt people. Yes man is getting him to do it. They would do his dirty work.
Yeah, one time.
That's not a yes man. That's an evil, evil human being.
He is evil. He's fucking evil as shit. One time, he asked me to come to a Villanova banquet. It was I think it wasn't like really an award banquet, but I was asked to speak at this thing, give a speech. And so I told so many jokes. It was like a comedy routine. I had the entire audience rolling the entire night. And then right after I got done, DuPont, I either paid this guy or this guy wanted to get paid by DuPont by destroying everything that I said. I mean, he was so disrespectful, and it was almost like he didn't. Yeah, you're right. He was just, it,
He did
I
DuPont's
was
dirty
so,
work. Yeah.
huh?
He did his dirty work. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's who he
exactly.
was. That's
That's
exactly
what he
who he
did.
was.
When they went to Puerto Rico, when I got fired,
Before that's kind of in my line of questioning. Can I just throw some other stuff? I got that whole
yeah,
Puerto Rico thing I got. Like it's,
go ahead.
will you allow me to roll this out?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, to really kind of understand who he was, he's doing like horse riding and jumping. And I think
Oh, that's right.
in his late teens, early 20s, Mark, what do you hear happens to him?
Okay, when pentathlon, part of the pentathlon event is equestrian, and part of the equestrian is to jump over these barriers. And he was riding one of his mother's horses, and this horse, instead of jumping over the barrier, it bucked him off, and he lands and straddles the fence, and he lands right on his testicles, and they get infected and they have to be removed. And he lives the rest of his life as a eunuch.
That's why when you hear his voice, it's a little higher. Now, if I can kind of, oftentimes when people talk about predatory behavior and predatory people, their response is cut those things off. So when I was on the department, we had a psychologist come in and kind of, so we can kind of understand what we're dealing with. And somebody mentions this to them. Why don't they just remove them? And the doctor said, you know what? We're doing a study on this right now, and we're at the tail end of it. And our belief is that when somebody does predatory behavior, there's a release. And that release is followed by lots of guilt, lots of maybe self-reflection, maybe not understanding, but there's some sort of recall after an orgasm.
Mm.
And when you remove somebody's testicles, they no longer have the ability to have remorse. It's them just trying to get the release and not being able to have the release. And by that byproduct is they actually magnify their evil. It actually turns it up like levels.
I believe that for sure.
Yeah. So when I saw that he lost both these, it was recommended he goes to the hospital. Nope. I'm tough. They get infected so bad, they remove his testicles. And now you've got this guy that is an absolute wild card in terms of how he is mentally, with an endless bank account.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit evil to begin with.
I think I'm probably the only person that I know of that he told me about that. I was living on the farm at the time, and he was making this sandwich, and he was making a sandwich for me, and he was making a really big deal out of making this sandwich. Like, I'm making this sandwich for you. I was just like, what the fucking sandwich?
It's his form of manual labor. It's his manual labor for the day. Yeah.
And then, after he hands me the sandwich, he tells me, when I was, in my 20s or 30s, I got thrown by one of my mother's horses, and onto this fence, and my testicles got infected and had to be removed. And that's why I never liked my mother's horses after that. It was called Lissitor Farms horses. And after he told me that, I walked out of the room and I thought to myself, oh, actually, he told me that. I stared at him for a very long time because I wanted to, I could see his lack of testosterone. I could see the effeminate characteristics in his
Facial
body,
features.
his face, everything. And then I walked out of the room and I just thought, that makes so much sense now, why he looks the way he does.
Like you said, his shoulders, his arms, body structure, his body was producing estrogen.
Mhm.
And, at that time, I don't think obviously steroids existed, but.
Yeah, he said he took testosterone. He was supposed to take it every day, but he said he forgets sometimes. And I think he forgot a lot more times than he.
Yeah, he forgot more than he remembered. That's for sure. So he believed that his athletic abilities opened the door for his accomplishments, and that those that said differently were detractors. So, Mark, I think if I had to break you down in terms of your personality, let's just say you're in an office setting, you're not laughing at the boss's jokes. Like if the boss's jokes are funny, you're laughing. If they're not funny, you're not kissing anyone's ass. Point blank, period. Zero.
That's why I get fired from everywhere.
That's true. I do believe that. I do believe that as well. But
Fired from Stanford, gets fired from Villanova.
He almost demands that behavior.
What's that?
He almost demands that type of behavior.
Yes. Everybody around him were yes men, except me. That's why he didn't like me after a while.
Yeah.
I think he respected me and he wanted to be more like me, but because I wasn't like wanting to be his friend, I think he turned on me and moved towards backing Andre Metzger and anybody that was against me.
So Metzger, I had a phone conversation with him a few years ago, and he said that Du Pont would groin grab when rolling with him.
Yeah, he had this move. He called it the Foxcatcher 5. And all it is him grabbing your balls. And one time he came up to me and he like
Joey can do that.
Claw-like thing, and he's like moving it towards my balls, and I'm like, don't even think about it. And he backed away. I think he got scared. But he did that to other people.
Well, that could have been kind of like a feint on a shot. You know what I mean? That the Foxcatcher 5 is, it might be coming, maybe not. Might be coming. You know what I mean? It's kind of, keep you guessing on when he's going to grab your junk.
I think losing his testicles made him, so effeminate that he became
fixated on yours.
I don't know what the hell he became, but he wasn't a heterosexual, that's for sure. He had a girl. There was a girl named Mari Mock. She was an Asian girl that would come around, and she was hanging around, and you could tell she was there just for the money. But that was his cover, to show. And he got married to Gail something or other.
Gail keeps his last name. She kept his last name.
Really?
I sent her messages, actually.
You did what?
I sent her messages.
Oh, wow.
Trying to talk to her. Yeah.
Crazy, Mike.
Well, dude, what the fuck? We're trying to figure out who he is. I got to get questions for you. You know what I mean? What the fuck?
I'm joking, Mike.
Yeah. I'm mentally, I got OCD. Yes.
No, you're doing a good job. You're the best host ever.
So he was also
MMA detective in the
world. He was obsessed with like history. Like whenever he didn't have an answer for something, it seemed like he would, in his back pocket, would be like George Washington, Rocky Balboa, Teddy Roosevelt. And he had those, like, you'd have to sit through the same stories over and over and over and over again, like same examples.
Exactly. Just One time I showed up at DuPont's house and all these Washington guys, they're like fixers. One time DuPont hit a guy in his car and the guy was unconscious. He was laying in the street. DuPont gets out of the car, drags the body onto the sidewalk, and then gets back in his car and drives away. And all these Washington fixers come to try to pay this guy off so he won't sue him, which they did. They just kept jacking up the offer until he took it. And he had all these. One time I went over to his house and he had all these Washington, I call them fixers. And as soon as I open the door, one of them says to me, "Oh my God, thank God you're here." And I was like, "Oh no, what am I walking into?" And as I walked in, it was the weirdest feeling. You could cut the atmosphere, the air with a knife. It was so weird that these guys were having to deal with this drunk DuPont and just talking his head off. And he was just talking everybody's ear off. And I went into that room for a little while and I was looking at this scene and I became so uncomfortable. I just said, "I'm out of here." And I left almost immediately. DuPont is just he's an energy vampire.
Suck. Yes, he's an energy suck. Yeah, like a succubus. Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. He's
Yes.
the epitome of it. An energy vampire. That's what I
Yeah.
call
So one of the things that he loves to pride himself on, like in this book, and he's mentions it several times, and it's probably, I think he's given a lot of money to different people, more often than not for nefarious reasons rather than, doing good. But whenever he did something good with his money, he made sure that it was in the book. Like it was very important. And he brought a youth wrestling team from Puerto Rico to the Valley of Forge so that they could feel the energy where like the battle took place 200 years prior. What was his link to this team in Puerto Rico? Like they're not known for their
a
wrestling.
guy named let me think of his I'll think I'll think of his name in a minute. He was a 163 pounder. It'll come to me in a minute. I do this
Hit that
all the
Google.
time.
Do it.
First I have
Google show.
dementia and then it appears in
Yeah.
my brain.
Okay, 163 pounder Puerto Rico
Okay.
wrestling.
So this guy agrees to lose a wrestling match to DuPont.
Oh, that's how it happened. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Jose Bentoncourt. Jose Bentoncourt.
All right. I got that name down here. Okay.
And so my brother was like, he was like going, "Jose, you have made DuPont so happy. We all have to honor you because you're making everybody else's life easier." When DuPont happy.
For the next month, we can talk about how brave he is in the wrestling world. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that was his connection, Jose.
Okay, so Jose linked up the team in order to take a team trip.
I'm sorry, say it again.
So Jose, by proxy of losing a match to John Du Pont, gets to take his team, like the youth wrestling team, to the Valley of Forge to feel the energy from where the war took place, and they can hear John Du Pont spout off whatever ridiculousness that's going to come out of his mouth. That's what it sounds like what took place there.
Yeah. I mean, Puerto Rican, it's weird. Puerto Rico has their own separate Olympic team from the American Olympic team. It's like another country. And Jose was the Olympian representing Puerto Rico. So for DuPont to beat an Olympian.
Oh, that's.
Oh, wait. All right. So did you ever set up fake matches for DuPont?
No.
I knew that. I knew that answer. You're too fucking proud. You're too proud to do that.
I'm going to do anything for that.
How does it get brought to these other wrestlers that you guys are looking for a fake wrestling match. Like, out of everything that you can fake, a wrestling match, like, wait, what?
Well, Valentin Jordanov set up a wrestling match between him and a guy on the Bulgarian national, I think he was a Bulgarian national champion. And Du Pont was so incompetent. This Bulgarian was like leading like 11-0. Like Du Pont just kept falling down and just falling down and falling down. And just it took nothing to take him down. You could touch him and he'd fall down. And this guy was offered a full year's salary to lose to Du Pont. He said Valentin Jordanov set that up. And so right, he's got like 10 seconds left in the match, and he's leading like 11-0. He's about the superior of this guy. And so he grabs Du Pont in a body lock and pulls him down on top of him and pins himself so he can get paid.
Joey, here's the one thing about
How weird is that?
Here's a good move. Very good move. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. So the thing about Du Pont is, like, he was so feeble. It's like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
Very much.
So he's really feeble.
That's and when exactly who he is.
He'll get like an underhook on the ground, and he scoots his way underneath you, almost like a missionary position, to where he's on the receiving end. And it's like his way of wrestling is like you see your brother yelling, "Other way," and he's just going underneath the guy with his back on the mat. It's the strangest. Netflix should have done a reality show of this then. Yeah, we got this rich freaking kook with no balls that we got to do fake matches for.
I know. It's the weirdest story.
It's the fucking weirdest thing ever, bro. It is so strange. It's so strange. All right, so he brings a Puerto Rican team there. You've answered why. And in his book, I actually there's certain obvious things that you really don't kind of notice until they're brought to your attention. And in this book, like the one thing that I took from this book, the news is complete doom and gloom with all sorts of bad things until you flip to the backside of the newspaper, and then there's sports, and that's where the levity of people's energy goes. And he's right.
Yeah.
Like the front page.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what he said. He said the newspaper, why sports is so important. His definition, like part of his definition of sports, is that it gives happiness to the people, because the news on the other side of the newspaper is all doom and gloom to kind of take their energy away. And if they need to kind of recharge their battery, they just read sports. So that is, people are naturally drawn towards sports.
That's what Du Pont said in his book about sports. Well,
he did say that. Well, I don't know.
The one thing you could understand anything in Du Pont's book?
Dude, dude, I got a 13-hour shift at work where I do all my study, 12-hour shift where I do all my study.
I didn't understand one thing in that book.
It took me 2.5 shifts. It literally took me 30 hours to get through a 100-page book. And I'm just like, no, dude, my OCD doesn't let me skip these obvious little definitions that are coming up.
You're went through the book.
Dude, it was fucking brutal.
Oh, it was brutal.
So I like that, but then he would also kind of give terms like you would know the definition of, like, well, we need to change his PMA.
What? I never heard of that either.
Positive mental attitude.
Oh, what we fucking do.
Well, this is a good GTM. A golden teaching moment.
Oh, fuck.
He's such an asshole. He's such a Joey. He's such an asshole.
Sounded brilliant when he was on cocaine.
Joey, he's such an asshole, dude. And I'm not saying.
Let me tell you how big an asshole he is. I'll tell you how big an asshole he is. He would listen to me say something,
like a story,
and then he would write it down. And then he would print it on his computer. And then he would print like multiple copies of whatever it was I said. And he would put it all over the farm like it was a quote from him.
That's great. I'm glad he thought of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He also really liked talking about like the citizen American, and like he would
Oh,
always
wow.
he would phrase it a certain way, right? You heard that.
I hate that whole name, this citizen athlete,
The
uh,
citizen American, the citizen
yeah,
athlete.
whatever the hell it's
Yeah.
called. I hated it. I hated it so much. He set up this banquet. You know, Fawn Hall, the girl that was like I forget Oliver North and Fawn Hall. It was Oliver North's secretary. She shows up at the citizen athlete whatever foundation or
Yeah, it's so strange.
it was, and it was he hired some NFL football player to give a speech there, and I'm listening to this guy, and we're us wrestlers at Villanova are sitting in the very back of the room, and all the other people are sitting in front of us, so we're like in the very very back, and some football player gets up and starts talking, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He's just like just random, he's just talking. He wasn't making any points. He wasn't talking about the Citizen Athlete Foundation or whatever the fuck that thing was called. It was just he was paid to come in there and speak, and so he spoke, and then he got paid, and that was it.
So so he had at least a dozen references in his book against drug use and the evils of marijuana.
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. He says one thing and does the opposite. That's DuPont's modus operandi.
So do you think DuPont wanted to be a star? Like, do you think that was like you said, modus operandi? That's your term. Do you think his modus operandi was to become a star, and coaching was probably his easiest vehicle, which is why he was a swim coach, he was a pentathlon coach, invented some other type of running game as a coach, so he could be like the world champion, even though there was six people competing against him. You know what? Do you think maybe that's kind of like how he thought he could be like this was his vehicle, coach?
Yes, I think, yeah, the idea of coach, whatever that meant to him, I had no idea. But matter of fact, when I got to Villanova, he's got his name in the media brochure as just coach, not head coach, not assistant coach, just coach. What does that mean? And and then I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak for him. I can't get inside his mind.
There's no way you
Twisted
can. Nobody
brain.
can. And the only people that can get inside John DuPont's brain are the guys kissing his ass and doing his dirty work. That's the only, because what they do is he says something and they feed him evil thoughts. And you know, we kind of get into this. I don't want to say his name again because this is going to be a little bit more watched than your first episode with people interested in John DuPont. But you and I certainly had some pretty hard feelings in regards to other culpable people, in regards to, you know, what took place with your brother. And those people excelled in his life.
Yeah, after the murder, uh, everybody around DuPont kind of forced into two camps, the Schultz camp and the DuPont camp. And it was so weird at the trial. One person would get up and testify how much how much good DuPont did. And then one person would get up and testify, how evil DuPont was. I mean, they could have just said, okay, everybody who thinks DuPont's good, raise your hand. Everybody who thinks he's evil, raise your hand. And that could have been the end of it, because that's all that happened in that court. It was, I mean, they drew, I mean, I don't know.
He brought the worst out in everybody. I
Yeah.
think that's the one talent that John Du Pont had. He had an ability to bring everybody's worst out. Like, you got people shopping fake wrestling matches to kind of get him over. All the black athletes have to leave because, you know, he had some sort of a fixation with black at some point, you know, whether it's horses, cars, athletes, treadmills, nothing black. I mean, he just was evil personified, and you very rarely encounter people like that, especially with a bankroll like he
That's
had.
that's why I felt like it was so easy to take advantage of me because I am Olympic and a world NCAA champion, and I am used to everybody treating me with a certain amount of respect. And I'd never encountered somebody that was so evil that just wanted to take advantage of me or take advantage of my name or make me miserable or ruin my happiness. I never and thought that in my wildest dreams anybody in the world would be you try to do that. That just made why? Evil has no reason. That's what evil is. It's unreasonable.
Yeah. So his drive to become a coach actually started at the Santa Clara Swim Club as a child.
Which is right next to where I lived in Palo Alto.
As a child, attempting
In
to make
Stanford.
the Olympic team.
Matter of fact, rules were made
Dude,
because
okay.
because DuPont was funding Stanford. He was funding Stanford recruiting expenses, and he did the same thing at Villanova. He'd fly them in on private jets. He'd he'd feed them lobster every meal. He'd put them up at the St. David's Inn, the most expensive hotel. That's all of that is a violation of NCAA rules. He didn't care about any of the NCAA. It was like rules didn't apply to him. And so he just broke every rule. He didn't care. And the kids, of course, loved it. They don't know what's going on. They're just 18-year-old kids, right? But yeah, that's what yeah.
Okay. In his book, he talks about video viewing.
Video what?
Viewing video in order to strategize properly. Do you think there was videos that existed of that wrestling room at Foxcatcher?
I have no idea.
Would it
When I was
surprise you?
there, huh?
Would it surprise you?
It wouldn't surprise me, but I had no idea about anything that was in that. When I went there, there was no wrestling room. There was no gym. The only thing that was there was a what do they call it when you shoot a gun at a target and it goes down this very
Like a track or whatever. Yeah, like
range.
a range.
yeah. Okay, so he had this range on his estate that he converted into a wrestling room. And when I say converted, I mean he just put a wrestling mat down in that room. And the problem with that room, though, was the ceiling was only like 7 feet high because that's what you got to have in a shooting range, right? So that's the only wrestling room that existed in anywhere around DuPont. Unless I would have gone over to the University of Pennsylvania, which eventually Dave and Dan Shade and those guys eventually did. And Dave actually coached Brandon Slay to an Olympic gold medal by going to train and coach at University of Pennsylvania. And I mean, you talk about pure luck. Roger Reyna, the head coach of the University of Pennsylvania, when he took over, his team was like not very good, but because he had all these great wrestlers of Foxcatcher coming over to train with his team in Pennsylvania, his team became like the EIWA or whatever conference they were in. They become the champions because the influence that Dave and Dan and all those guys had on the University of Penn guys was really significant. But my life was completely different from Dave's and Dan's life. I was at Villanova for about a little over a year, and then on the Foxcatcher farms for about 9 months, I was just trying to financially survive while I went through the
You
Olympics.
tolerated him for 9 months. That's what you did.
It was
So,
brutal. Dave Lee, who was NCAA champion for Dave at Wisconsin, he tried to stay on the farm for like he couldn't last he didn't last more than 6 months. He was just like the guy is freaking crazy. And he left just like I left for the same reason. The guy's crazy.
so in the book, he mentions that due to his athletic lifestyle. So in the book, DuPont mentions that due to his athletic lifestyle, that he's had 30 plus surgeries. And as Joey and I would say, this is just code word for being hooked on pain pills.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's true.
Okay. Be all right. You're a junkie. That's what this means. Was it? I know it was cocaine. I know it was alcohol, but was it just anything he could get his hands on?
Painkillers too. Yeah, it was cocaine, alcohol, and painkillers mainly.
I'm shocked that he lived as long as he did. I mean, that's a recipe for problems.
Well, he got off of all that stuff in prison for 13, 14 years. He was clean. Except he smoked 3 packs a day. That's how he died. Emphysema and COPD.
Oh, that's brutal. That's a brutal way to die. Brutal way to die.
He choked on his own mucus, just like he made Dave choke on his own blood.
Yeah.
Talk about God's revenge or whatever they call it.
Mark, the similarities that you guys have in regards to kind of things coming together, like you said, he was right down the street from you in swimming while you guys, were doing your athletics in high school. It's freaking crazy. When coaching at Villanova, in my notes, I don't know if this is true or not, I have that you and Rob Calabrese coached John Du Pont in a wrestling match.
Oh, yeah. I think he had a wrestling match with some guy, and I think the guy was paid off because DuPont couldn't beat anybody.
If John won, the guy was paid off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joey, he gets to know the award was like this belt with like a medal, like an actual like medal, like a weird Olympic sized medal as the center plate
championship belt.
Yes, dude,
yeah, because they give those away in amateur wrestling all the time. That's totally normal. Totally normal.
Exactly.
No, Mark's got a bunch of them.
Yeah. The term coach is almost like he demanded it. Like it's an interesting case study of a delusional asshole. And like when in training in law enforcement, what they say is the worst thing that you can do to somebody struggling with mental health is placating whatever delusions that they have. For instance, if somebody says a purple being is coming down off the clouds and coming to zap everybody, you don't say, this purple being, where are they from? How could we defend ourselves against them? Like me being of sound mind and them struggling, when you entertain their delusions, it only encourages things to escalate and get worse and find higher ceilings.
You're right. Absolutely.
So what happens is his head of security recognizes that
exactly. That's
there's a way to manipulate this situation in order to pack my coffers and the people around me. And that's what took place with him.
Yeah. Pat Goodale took advantage of DuPont's whatever. I don't know what you call
psychosis, I think is what we're going to refer to.
You know what I call it? I call it cocaine psychosis.
Coke brain.
Thing.
Yeah. He also
in the last episode about how he would go in. He had a badge, a police badge, a Marple Newtown police badge. He'd walk into the evidence room and he'd walk out with a kilo of cocaine with the words evidence, in bright orange letters on the side of the bag. I saw it. And then he would jam a straw in there and just like take these huge hits. And I thought he was going to go into cardiac fibrillation one time. I said, "What do you want me to do if you go into cardiac fibrillation?" He goes, "Call my lawyer." I go, "You sure you don't want me to call an ambulance?" He goes, "No, call my lawyer." But anyway, yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Go
So
ahead.
he was also heavily involved in the lives of triathlete sisters Kirsten and Joy Hansen, as well as swimmer Brenda Borg Bartlett.
Joy Hansen testified at the murder trial about what a great influence DuPont was on her. What that's code for he gave me money.
Yeah.
Joey. Oh, the problem
The
is
guy lived without gravity, man. The rules didn't apply to him. Like when astronauts come back, their muscles have like atrophied. Well, that's his character.
let's not bring NASA into this, dude. Come on, stop
Okay.
it. Sorry. Some of us don't believe we went there in this conversation. So we're going to move forward.
We're going to go. Yeah.
Dan Shade had a machine gun pulled on him while working out at Foxcatcher.
That's right. That's what got him off the farm. He was like, "Screw this, I'm out." Because he would have been killed, I think, if he had stayed. DuPont was ready to kill at that point.
While you were there, did he ever request to be called His Holiness, or did that happen afterwards?
No, that was after he really got into cocaine really deep. I honestly, they say he was a paranoid schizophrenic.
Placate the
I
mentally
don't believe
ill.
that. I think he was a cocaine addict.
Yeah, when you placate like somebody that's mentally ill and they've got funds, this is what happens. Like this is exactly what takes place. When was the final straw for you when you knew you had to go?
It was right before I threw my last match at the Olympics. I thought, I'm done. And so I threw my last match and I left the farm immediately as soon as I got back. And that was it. I was done with wrestling and DuPont. And I just could not figure out why USA Wrestling. First of all, Dave Miller, the executive director of USA Wrestling, was embezzling money from USA Wrestling's fund. That money could have gone to keep the U.S. team supported the U.S. team, at least the number one guys, at least guys like me. But we never got any money, and he was the money that we were paying to go to tournaments went into his pocket, and it just, I mean, it was just it was like impossible to survive and compete at the same time. There was like just no way forward for any of us at that time. It was horrible.
It was like one person would reach their hand up and almost get up to the top, and others were pulling them back down. Yeah,
Exactly. Every single time. It was, if you look at all of the times that I made a world team, every single time there was something going on behind my back, stabbing me in the back to try to destroy my ability to win. It, I'm not, I, this is one of the criticisms in my book. My book is called Foxcatcher because the publishers wanted to take advantage of the movie, which was named Foxcatcher. It was a terrible name. I even told the director, "You can't name it that." He's like, "You can't tell me what to do." And then so I was like, "Okay, fuck you. I'm naming my book Foxcatcher. I'm gonna take advantage of all the publicity around the movie to sell my book," and which I did. And Penguin, they helped me do that. And that was one thing he didn't like, was the fact that I carved out my literary rights from my film rights. And so he couldn't own my literary rights. So the truth was going to come out in the book, which it did.
So you leave. Do you and Dave become estranged for a little bit of time, or do you guys keep in contact?
And I think we did become estranged a little bit, you know.
Did you ever ask him to leave?
What?
Did you ever ask him to leave?
Um, I think he was, yeah, well, I told him, I didn't really talk to him about why I left. I didn't tell him how how DuPont had destroyed my motivation. And then I called him one day on the phone and I told him how DuPont destroyed my motivation. And at that point, I think Dave decided to leave. And at that point, I think DuPont decided to kill Dave.
No. I tell you, if I ever come into money at some point, there will be a statue of the Schultz brothers somewhere, somewhere. Like I'm not kidding. Like I have these like crazy dreams of this guy needs a statue, that guy needs a statue. Like I really do. Like I'm not joking when I say I have those dreams at night, and I've had them for at least a dozen years. You two deserve, while you are walking this earth, to see a statue of yourself somewhere.
Okay. I'll support you on that.
Yeah, crowdfunded. We should crowdfund it. To be honest with you, Joey, we should. We're working on a little documentary right now about Raffaele Torre, and that case and the circus around it. We plan on crowdfunding it. If that works, I plan on trying to get a group of people together, $100 here, $100 there, and let's get a list of athletes that need trophies, or not trophies, but statues made of them. Mark, you and your brother will be at the top of that list.
Mark will come out for the ribbon cutting, right?
Yeah.
We can count on.
I mean, you really should. You really should. If this
Absolutely.
documentary attempt works out, we are gonna, with the thought of philanthropy and playing it forward. There's a group of people, and it's actually a pretty large group of guys that deserve statues.
You know, Dan Gable's got a statue of him right outside the Hawkeye.
He should, and he should. He deserves that. He deserves that. Yep.
He does.
I just think there's a long list, and it's being ignored. And sometimes, like, you can allow those that should do this, city and government, or you can just kind of do it on your own.
Okay, I'm on board. Whatever it is,
Glad we can count on you, Mark.
Yeah.
I'll definitely come out.
Yeah, Joey, maybe we can just like throw things at it. What's in front of Mark.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, Mark, I think we're going to do part 3 about your brother. I've got some other things I'd like to. It's about 2 hours. Yes.
Oh.
Well, wow. Here, if I go longer than 2 hours, what happens is we lose audience retention, and what it is we come up with another episode, and we just kind of continue on.
Maybe 4 episodes, not 3.
It might be more. What happens is I reel people in, and then I kind of lie to them, and we get multiple.
We're not covering everything. I mean,
there's more. There's more, and I have.
And I know you try, and there's nobody better than you, Mike. But it's just too much. I don't know.
I've got notes, and you got to remember, like I'm still gathering. Like what I do is I focus on an era and a time, and we put it into our database. We push things through, and then we just kind of get our questions from what we can. So there's more that I can pull, but it's got to be different eras. And I try to kind of keep everything boxed in, and then I wait a month, and then we come out with another one. So how many? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but
I'm
there's
on board for whatever you want to
but
do.
there's a lot more that we can
If you
touch.
don't want to do anymore, or you
The
just
fuck
want
out of
Oh,
here.
no.
Stop
Dave
it.
deserves his own episode.
Dave
whatever you want to do,
oh
Mike.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is just the beginning. And I tell you, Joey, if you want to do a Thursday drop, we talk about divorce.
Oh, I'm so far not qualified to talk on the subject, but I'll go along for the ride.
I'm qualified. I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Dude, I can talk about mine. And mine was easy. But I remember talking to lawyers. So she doesn't know about your pension? No, she doesn't. All right, so we're gonna fly her up here and we're gonna talk to her about it. Gee, but I'm paying you. Yeah. She has to know about it. She has to know from me about a pension that she doesn't know about from a lawyer that I'm paying. Well, I don't think we're right to be together. I agree. We're not. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, I went through a fantastic divorce, and all I dealt was with attorneys trying to muddy the waters up. Like I've never we're both like, no, it's all split. Everything's good. No. But what? No, we don't want that. We just want to kind of have this.
They make more money if they can turn it into a knife fight.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
I know this is an MMA podcast.
Sorry.
But if you wanted to know what happened to me in my divorce, you will not believe it. It was the most contentious. I mean, I got accused of everything you can imagine.
Well, that's what they do. Whatever the worst thing that they can say,
they did. For me.
Of course.
Horrible.
Yeah. So I don't want to end this episode on this negative note, but I just want to say, Mark,
it's not negative. I'm fine. Matter of fact, I got my kids. My kids know who I am. They know how much I love them. They're on my side. So I'm not worried about anybody lying about me. They can't do it.
Good. We're 2 hours in, Mark. I'm gonna gather more notes. I've actually got some other timepiece period things that need to be discussed, particularly like tournaments that you were in, as well as the level of competition that were in those tournaments. And those might be shorter episodes, but I'd like to kind of keep those contained because they're freaking Joey. You got to see some of the people and their qualifications that he met in one tournaments in, and kind of like the lowest end guy is a world qualifier. Oh man, dude. Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Okay. I'm in.
Right or wrong, Mark? Right or wrong?
As many. That's right. I'm on board for as many as you want to do.
Good.
As many episodes of MMA history podcast you want to do.
I'm thinking of also about reaching out to Royce Alger. I've got his phone number. And he kind of took your place on the world stage, but you guys had a lot of common opponents. So I think Joey and I are novices at best in terms of wrestling history. I think him being the subject, you being able to put context on some of the things that Royce accomplished, I think also is something that I don't know if you're up for it, but I think that would be a good little duo.
Yeah. I'm very good friends with the 1990 world champion, Joseph Lonia from Slovakia. He was losing to Royce with about 10 seconds left. And then he did he went into a full splits and then double-legged Royce to his back to win in the last 10 seconds or something. And it was an amazing match, amazing move to win that match. And I wrestled Joseph Lonia several times, and I beat him every time. But he was he's a great friend of mine.
That's good. Mark, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. We're going to get into, let me just kind of work on the database, put more stuff in, see what comes out, and then we'll continue down that road. Okay?
Mike, awesome. You're the best, Mike.
Love you, brother. Joey,
I love you too.
Is the fucking
Mark,
man.
Good to finally meet you. Thank you.
Joey,
see you guys.
Joey!
A lot of cocaine in this one. A lot of cocaine. That's the problem with cocaine, is that you're so drunk you should pass out, but the cocaine doesn't let you pass out. And that's when you end up with these 4-hour John Du Pont pontifications. So,
The
yeah,
thing
that
is,
guy,
the thing is, it's like cocaine makes good people not so good,
yes.
and people not so good to begin with even worse.
Yeah.
That's
Nobody did a bunch of cocaine and their life got better ever.
no. That guy's a friggin' legend, man.
Yeah.
All right, so I kind of
He clearly has a lot of respect for you. He's willing to come back on as many times as we want. Hell of an offer.
Yeah. So I'm in meetings right now about the Rafael Torre documentary.
Yeah.
I was going to talk to you. You might have to get on an airplane if you want to be in it. I don't know for how long your part would be, but I was going to kind of call you about it next week. We're going to start crowdfunding things and statues and things of that nature. I don't know why, like, I've been thinking about it for like a dozen years before this podcast even existed. I'm just like, Hoist Gracie deserves one.
Yeah.
Obviously. Mark Coleman deserves one. Obviously. Krokop gets one. Josh Barnett, you know what I mean? It's like,
Carlson.
Carlson has one. But you're trying not to be Oprah about it. Like, you get a car, you get a car. But dude, these things deserve to. Mario Sperry deserves one.
Yeah, he does.
And it's like, John Peretti. I believe Art Davey deserves one. Bob Meyerowitz deserves one. Dana White deserves one. Like, I think there's like a long list. And it's
Dana White's gonna make one for himself.
Yeah,
he's good. Don't spend too much time worrying about him.
Though I was kind of thinking like I'd be a little duplicitous on it. I think that can jumpstart the rest of them.
Yeah. I don't know. Because certain part of the population thinks that the UFC started with Dana White, and everything that came before him doesn't get the love it deserves.
Yeah. I agree. Well, that's like when you're in control, that nameplate certainly helps. What gets written on there.
Exactly.
It kind of you can either make history or alter it, or document history or alter it. So, Joey, either way, please like, share, subscribe. This is where we need help. Spotify. If you guys can comment on Spotify, like there's a couple guys, Thomas Murrell, Jason. I think he's out of Canada. I want to say guy, in Ohio as well, the Columbus area. They comment nonstop on Spotify. It really helps with the algorithm. We're like this close from being monetized. And when it's our program is monetized, it actually gets pushed harder to the masses. And I'm not saying this is going to be a huge podcast, but what I can say is we have a niche audience and we haven't hit our ceiling yet in regards to the amount of people that know who we are. And that could really help us out. It would really, really help us out.
Do us a solid, guys. We're working hard for you.
Joey, love you, brother. Get this
on the next
intro, and then this will be our Monday drop.
You got it.
All right, brother.